for purpose. You're marked for destiny. You're marked for more. There are things that God has placed in you that the earth won't see until it comes out of you. God has put his hand on you, and you will not be hindered. The setback is a setup for what God has called you to. If you got faith,
oh, come on.
I dare you to give God a shout of praise right now. Yes, somebody's faith is coming back in this moment. Somebody say, I'm marked. No, you didn't even say it. Say it with your chest. Say, I'm marked.
I'm marked with the mark of God,
Yes, some of you
sealed.
need to hear yourself say it again. Because you've been saying other things. Like, I'm lost. I'm depressed. I'm hurting. I'm unqualified. But I dare somebody to just raise up one more time in faith. You might not feel it yet, but in faith, somebody say, I'm marked. See, when baby girl said, I'm marked. You better go, girl. When I started to think about people who were marked in the Bible, I started to think of David. And David was somebody who was marked from a very young age. But there were some things, a process that David had to go through before he got to the palace, or for the sake of this message, before he got to his promise. Like the thing that he was ultimately going to be in, he was marked, but there was a process to the promise.
Come on.
And many of us get frustrated in the process to the promise. And so I want to help us, and I want you to turn to 1 Samuel 16. And let me give you some backstory. There was a king named Saul. Saul was marked. He was anointed. God's hand was on his life, but he started doing his own thing and started disobeying God. So there was a prophet named Samuel who had anointed Saul, and he thought he was going to be the one, and Saul messed up. So God told Samuel, go to Jesse's house in Bethlehem, and you're going to anoint one of his sons, because they're going to be the next king of Israel. And Samuel's like, no, I don't want to do that, because I thought it was Saul. And God said, boy, I'm doing a new thing. Will you please go to Jesse's house? And this is where we're going to pick up the story in 1 Samuel 16:6. And it says, when they arrived, Samuel took one look at Eliab and thought, surely this is the Lord's anointed. He looked the part. He sounds right. He has the stature. But the Lord said to Samuel, don't judge by his appearance or his height, for I have rejected him. The Lord doesn't see things the way you see them. Aren't you glad that God doesn't see things the way we see them? Aren't you glad that people's Insta stories and how many followers they have does not make them better in God's eyes? Like God's not looking at what you look like, he's looking at your heart. Because that's what it tells us. People judge by the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart.
Yep.
Then Jesse told his son Abinadab to step forward and walk in front of Samuel. But Samuel said, this is not the one the Lord has chosen either. Next, Jesse summoned Shimei. Come on, boy. You'll chip off the whole block. Come on, do it. But Samuel said, neither is this one. Jesse like, dang, all my sons is horrible. But Samuel said to Jesse, the Lord has not chosen these. Then Samuel asked, are these all the sons you have? And he said, they're still the youngest. They're still the one who didn't finish college. They're still the one that's on their third marriage. It's funny because he asked, is there another son? But he didn't even call him by his name. He called him by what he was in his situation. And a lot of times people discount us because of where we are right now, and they don't even call us by our name. They call us what we've done. Oh, you're talking about the girl who's a little fast. You're talking about the dude who's a liar. And it's so funny because how people discount you sometimes is not the way that God looks at you. And I want you to see that, because somebody in here is struggling with that right now. Somebody in Toronto is in a place where they're thinking that God may be calling them what other people are calling them. But look, he said he's out in the field watching the sheep and the goats. Samuel said, send for him at once, and we will not sit down and eat until he arrives. All his brothers was like, dang. So Jesse sent for him. He was dark and handsome and had beautiful eyes. Get the picture, get the picture. And the Lord said, this is the one, anoint him. Mark him. So as David stood there among his brothers, Samuel took the flask of oil that he had brought and